Hey everybody, hopefully the last video went well for you. If you're still hanging out with me, great. Let's get some buttons in the bottom here for jump and drop shots. It's kind of what everybody's been waiting to see. It's the big item. So when you're looking at this controller, you can take a couple different approaches to it. You could put them on the flat back part that are kind of more like scuff paddles, and if you wanted to do that, you'd have to find a way to mount paddles to your battery door so that they can have the right kind of activation. If you want to go the way that I do it, a bunch of other people do it, I like to have them on the sides of these, inside of these grip areas here, so that my middle fingers can activate them neatly. What I've actually found about that is if you're looking at the controller, you can see these two dots from the molding process. I kind of like to put them basically right down from there, maybe a 1/4 inch from this bend. And just for repeatability's sake, I made a template for the way that I do it. It's got a hole in the center of it that matches up with this plus sign here. It's got a notch cut out of it that matches out with this. So whenever I put it in there, I get you know, very repeatable locations for holes. The long story short is, if you come up 1/8 of an inch from the center of this plus sign and then go over, oh, where's my measuring shit? 1 second. Okay, and then if you go over 42 millimeters on a sheet of paper or something like that, you can do it. I'll see if I can post this template that I made this in Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever. But basically what I like to do is come in here and then take like a pen or something and mark the location of that hole. So I actually just use a punch to do it. So I can just hold this down nice and tight and then hit it with a punch. It marks the plastic and I know where to drill it. You may not be able to see that, but there is a small hole right there. It's just a little slight divot, and I'll do the same thing on this side. Now you can put these buttons wherever you want. One thing that you have to keep in mind is when you're putting this shell back together, the rumbles are something you have to worry about. So you've either got to cut this piece of plastic out and just put them wherever you want. That's one really good way to do it if you don't mind having the rumbles gone. Another way is put them up where I did, where the rumbles aren't going to become an issue. Or use different switches, or put them in the paddle locations, and you could just do that. So the location I have will let you use the rumbles if you want to, and that's just why I use that location. Plus, based on some testing that I did where I kind of gave my controllers to a bunch of people, they said that was kind of the optimum location. But anyway, we've got those two spots marked. So I like to just circle them with a pencil or something, so when I'm in there drilling, you know, I know what they are. So for this section, I've obviously been saying the word drill a couple of times, so we need a drill. This is just a cheap drill. I don't know, a $60 drill or something, but you can get a nice drill if you wanted, or you can just get a $20 one for this. So I start out with a small bit. I usually do this on a drill press. I'm doing it with this drill for the purposes of this video, but I typically take this drill piece, kind of hold it up against my body, and try to drill that way. But obviously I got to show this in the video, so just start slow. Using something like I did with a punch will create a divot that your drill bit kind of sinks into, so it's really easy for me to be accurate with this. Okay, so those fuzzy plastic pieces, they won't matter in a minute because we're about to make that hole a lot bigger. And then we do the same thing on this side. So when you're not trying to do this for filming a camera sequence, this will be a whole lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my my hot glue gun here. So we got that. Obviously these holes need to be bigger. I actually don't have the bit that's exactly the size that I need. But I do have one of these. They're a couple dollars at Harbor Freight or at Lowe's or something like that. It's called a stepper bit. You could always just buy the size bit that you need, but the reason I do this stepper bit is because it fits all situations. So we're gonna have to try to hurry here. I'm running out of battery. I got like 10% left. So so this is just one of those situations where just go for it. I go 3 steps up, which is 3/8. It's a little under ½ an inch. The millimeter bit that most closely fits to is a 10 millimeter bit. And then I have this, which is a reamer. It's $2 at Harbor Freight. And I use this to just get in there, and it's basically just a bunch of knives arranged horizontally, and I twist it nice and slowly until it gets up to that mark line, which is the thickness of the buttons that I'm going to be using. So I go until it's nice and smooth up to that line, hit it just a little bit from the other direction so it's nice and flush from both angles, and then we repeat that on the other side. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so there's really no going back from this point. If you screw this part up, you got to order another shell. So be careful. So here's where you'll see where your buttons will fit. For me, this is great. For most people, this is great. X-Acto knife. I like to trim the insides of these, give them a little bit of a chamfer. Again, this is something I've got a lot of practice with, so I can just kind of do it smoothly and quickly. And I also resharpen my bits because I don't know, I'm cheap. So you can do this from this way. Take your time here. It's really easy to gouge the inside of a controller or the outside. The inside doesn't matter as much as the outside. Alright, so that's kind of that. I like to take this and actually scratch up the plastic a little bit. We're going to be using hot glue here, having a rough surface for it to bond to. Actually, I don't know, this part's more of a paranoia OCD thing for me, but I don't do it all the time. But there's some controllers, like if you're using like one of the chrome shells ones that are like shiny green or red, you kind of have to do it. So at this point we grab this, we grab 2 switches. These are 12 millimeter by 12 millimeter tactile switches. Got a nice clicky sound to them. The switch caps that I have, I mean, the color doesn't matter to me often, and like this is one that somebody won, so they're getting whatever switch caps I have, but these are white ones, and I like to just pop them on first and see how they'll fit in there. And yeah, sometimes with these you do have to take a file to get them to sit, and there's these little black nubs, and you'll have to hand file them down to get it to sit flush. You can always do that one way or another, whether it needs it or not. It's not going to hurt it. Just don't go too deep, because that's actually what's holding that whole switch together. So you can pop the switch in, kind of hold it down with your thumb like that, flip it over, make sure wherever you think it's going to sit, that it still gets a good positive like clicking noise. So I like to have it so that the legs are facing this way of one of the actual electrical pieces to it. So this is working pretty well. And then we can check the other switch to make sure it's functioning also. So this part carries the risk of burning yourself somewhat, but you know, YOLO, I guess. Alright, so what I usually do here is I take this, you kind of got to carry it in your hand so that you can keep a good pressure on that button. You can still hear it, you know, providing a good click. And you want to hit a side of it with hot glue. I did 2 sides. Sometimes you might only be able to get one. And then you let that dry. If you have compressed air in a can, you can flip it upside down and hit it with it, and it like freezes it basically, which is really cool. So I can now take my hand off of this, check the other side, see how it's situated. If I don't like it, I have a few seconds that I can kind of reposition the whole switch, but I do like where that's at, and it clicks very well. So I'm not going to mess with it. If you do find that you got this in a bad spot, you can use a hot air dryer to, or a hair dryer to make this liquid again. Or you can take one of these and trim kind of like that. But as long as it clicks, you're in good shape. So then I take this and I glue the other side that I didn't, one of the other sides that I didn't get before. I do leave the side with the legs here unglued for now, because I'll be soldering there and I don't want it to do that. What I like to do with this side is bend these legs down, and I just burn myself on some glue there, and I like to throw just a tiny bit of glue on top of them. It just really helps hold that switch in place. Especially, like I said, if you're messing with one of those chrome shells, they just don't take the glue like some of the other ones do. So, you know, it's a learning process, and I just happen to have a little bit too much glue in here, so I'm just doing some cleanup. So that side's done, and we'll just do the same on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, save battery. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so I got the glue drying on this side. One thing you'll notice about hot glue is that it leaves these little tails. You just wait till the glue dries, and you can just pluck them up with a pair of tweezers. You know, it's really easy to get carried away with the hot glue. It's something that you kind of got to learn a balance for. Like on this side where I was doing it without having to worry about filming it, you can see I got a really nice flow going on here, and it's just nothing I need to worry about. And I can very comfortably get a good seal down. And even on this side, since it laid down so well, I can actually seal under where I'm gonna solder anyway, and it's, you know, it's good. So that kind of about does it for this video. I just want to kind of show how I do the drilling. I'm going to clean some of this up over here, so it's nice and neat. And the next video will cover how I do the soldering on these buttons, which is, you know, pretty simple in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, thanks for your time. If you have any questions, let me know.